So for my first tutorial, I am going to show you how to make a Dreamcatcher necklace, like the one in front of me. So to start, you will need a ring. So right now I'm using a coconut shell ring. You'll need some small beads for the center. I'm using 4mm clear crackle glass beads. You'll need some beads for the end. You can choose whatever colors, whatever sizes. So I have some 8mm yellow beads and 6mm clear beads. You will need some thread. So I'm using regular embroidery thread that you can buy at any craft store. What I did was I cut some up, and then there's about 6 strings in the thread, so I separated them and made it so that there's only 3, because I'm going to fold it over and it will have 6 anyway. It's just to make it small enough for the beads to fit through. I have a charm, and you can pick any charm that you want for your Dreamcatcher for it to hang on. I'm using a Live Your Dream one for this one. And I have 2 clamps, so I'm going to end up taking this part off, the hoop, with my pliers, just for the attachment of the feathers. Okay. Okay, so to get started, I have my ring, and what I'm going to do is I've folded my string in half, so I have like the 2 ends right here, and I didn't cut it in half, so it's still attached on the other side. Sorry, this is going to be kind of close. I don't really have a stand for my camera. So essentially, I'm going to put them through the hoop, the 2 ends, and pull it through. Ah, it's attached on my pliers. So I have the end here. It's like a little hoop. And I'm going to put that through just to secure it onto the ring. And then I'm going to tie a couple knots in it so that it stays in place. Okay, so it should look like this. So I've tied the string onto the hoop so that it can stay in place and it won't move around. Now I'm actually going to put on the end of the string a needle, because it'll make the threading that much easier. What I'm going to do is, with the needle, I'm going to go in, so the string is sitting in front of the hoop right now. So I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go through the back and pull it through and put it right there. So I've left about a finger width between the start of the string and the second one. And I'm going to do that again. So the string again is right in front of the hoop, and I'm going to take the needle and go through the back into the front and pull it through. And again, leave about a finger width apart to that string. And I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around. Okay, so now I've gotten to the end, and my last string is near to the other string. So now, from the end part, I'm going to go, I hope that you can see this, I'm going to put the needle through the first string right here, and do exactly what I did before, but just make sure that this goes in front of that string, so that you're getting, like, the proper, like it's securing properly. So, if you can see what I've done, just like a hoop there, and then I'm just going to pull it tightly, like not too tight or else the string will break. Okay, so that's the first one. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a bead on the end. Now you don't want to use too thick of a needle or your beads won't go on, because they have like little holes in them. So I'm going to put that all the way to the end there, and sometimes that becomes loose, so you just want to hold the string a little bit tightly again, just not too tight. You really don't want your string to snap when you're partway through this. And I'm going to go through now the second string, and I'm going to put it through and over that string and pull it all the way through. And just make sure that the bead stays right there and doesn't go through the hole, the opening of the other string there. And then put it in the middle of that string, you can see that, and hold it tightly. So that string's just going to sit nice and loose right there. Now, on some of mine, I'll like skip it, so I go through the next hole with no bead, and then bead, no bead, bead, no bead. And it can hold about 4, but for this one, like the other one, I'm going to put a bead on every one of them. So I put this, so for example, like mine is a little bit, my needle is a little bit big there, so this bead isn't going all the way through. And with crackle glass, they can break really easily, so I'm not going to force it on. I'm just going to try another bead, and that one went on. So put that right to the end. Make sure, so when you come back to it, after you put the bead on, you want to make sure that your previous one, like your knot, is still in the middle, because it can move. You might just need to adjust it a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. Put it through. And just secure it right there. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and do that. So, now I'm at the end. So I put on the last bead. So I had 7 knots in the beginning, and I have 7 beads. So now, with me being on the last one here, which is right here, I'm just going to hold on to this right here, this last knot. I'm going to take my needle, and I'm going to go to the right side of this bead. So here's a little triangle area, like the opening. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put it through. So once I put that through, I'm going to pull a bit tightly. And then the bead is now sitting, like so I'll put my hand behind because it's a black string. It's probably hard to see. So right here is where I just put that through. And now the bead's sitting on the left-hand side of the string that was originally on. So I'm going to hold on to that one now, just so it doesn't move. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go through on the right-hand side of the bead. Put it through. Tighten it. And now you can see, so I've done it 1, 2 times. So the way it's sitting. So now those are nicely secure. Rather than these ones, like they're on the whole string there. So if you can see that. And I'm going to just go around and do that for the whole thing. So this is the last bead, and this is the first bead. And right underneath that first bead, there's the string that I want to go through next. So that was the last bead there. So now I'm going to do the same thing. It's just weaving now the whole way around. So you're always just going to go to the next string. I'm done the Dreamcatcher. I need to tie it off now though. So what I like to do here is take the needle off and then separate the strings. So when you put it on the first time, it was like I folded the string in half. So I'm just going to separate it. It should be quite easy. So I have 3 strings on either side. I'm just going to make a couple knots. I'm not going to do too much there because it's all on one side there. But what I'm going to do, I just like to make sure it's super secure. So I'm going to put one side of the string through the middle hole there. So just through the middle. And take the other side of the string and just put it through another hole close to the center. Now they're on the back side of it, the strings. So I'm going to tie 3 knots. Just because now they do have some strings in the center there to be secure on. And I mean, it's up to you. That should be good enough. Me personally, I like to go through to the front, tie a couple knots, and through to the back again and tie a couple knots. I just like it to be super secure, so it doesn't come apart. So now I wanted to finish it on the back side so that when I cut the threads, there's nothing in the front. So I'm just going to cut them as close to the knot as I can. And I'm just going to hold on to the leftover string to use on the bottom part for the feathers. So I'm going to put, so I folded the little string in half. So I'm going to put the hoop through the bottom string, like the bottom hole there. Pull it through, not all the way through, just like a little bit. And then put these ends through that little loop. Now I'm going to tie a couple of knots in that so it's secure as well on the bottom. And I have that part hanging. Now I'm going to put some beads onto it. Okay. Now I wanted to grab my little clamp and I'm going to use my pliers. I'm going to hold on to that ring at the end and just kind of go back and forth with it. to wiggle it off. I mean, if you have little clamps that don't have that, then that's perfect, but I don't. So I use my pliers. So I'm going to put a yellow feather and a white one over the yellow feather. So I'm just going to hold on to both of the stems right there on the end. Pick up the clamp with the strings again. This is the part that it's a little bit more difficult. Just holding on to everything. So put the feathers inside that clamp there. So now you should be holding onto the clamp with just your back finger here, and pushing down like with your thumb, so holding it all in place. Now you're going to take the pliers and you're going to push one side in and then the other. Okay, so now there's my Dreamcatcher, the clamp underneath the beads there with the feathers hanging. I'm going to cut the string off here. Just cut it as close to the clamp as you can so there's none just hanging down. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to put the other one the other string right beside it and pretty much do the exact same thing. So I'm going to do the beads with the clamp and the feather, and I'll show you in just a sec. Okay, so I added the other string with the feathers. Now you can leave it like that if you want, or you can add a charm in the middle. So like my other one that I have here, my blue one, I put a peace sign in the middle. So I do have to cut off another piece of string to be able to do that because I didn't have enough from the middle of my Dreamcatcher. And so I'm going to put this one right in the middle, and I'm going to put a bead on there as well. I think just one clear crackle glass bead. So I'm just going to put the string through the center just like I did with the other strings to hang the feathers. Okay, so I've attached the charm. So I did the string and then put a bead on and then did a bunch of knots. So I did about 3 knots once I put the whole string through the pendant hole there. I have my spool of hemp, and I'm just taking a bunch, putting it around my neck, and then I take the 2 ends and I measure it. I measure it actually just a little bit below my chest. So I put the 2 strings through the top hole there. Okay. Pull it while still holding the other end. And so I have a hoop here. I'm going to put the strings through the hoop, pull tightly, and it's just sitting there like that. So just want it to get right to the center again. Now I'm going to put in 1 knot. And tie it tight. Not too tight or else you'll break it. And then I'm going to put another knot just to make sure that it's facing perfectly. Like, so I hold on to that, tie the knot down because I want both strings to be on either side of it so it sits perfectly. So it's not like, you know, sideways or anything. So I put 2 knots in after I did that. Okay. Now, I put the 2 ends behind my neck because I want to see to where it will hang. And so I figured that I want it to hang about there. So I have about that much room on the end. So I hold them together, make sure they're perfectly straight. And then I take this and I do a knot on the end. And then I'm going to cut off the end. And that's my necklace. So put it on and it hangs. So if you have any questions at all, just write me a comment or send me a message. If you have any questions about the tutorial, you can find me on Etsy or on Facebook under Travel and Dreamer. I will put the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and for my first tutorial, I hope that you can make one yourself.